Welcome to News Now Alberta. This is Special Ed. Please comment on this video as it really helps with YouTube algorithm. Just say hi. Today we're talking about the Freedom Convoy again, as other courts and punishments have been cited out. We are talking about the officer punished for donating in something they believed in. Yes, they donated to the Freedom Convoy.
So, in a rather appalling and absolutely astonishing manner, Constable Christina Nielsen, who works for the Ottawa Police Service, has been accused of engaging in behavior that supposedly brings disgrace upon the police agency just because she contributed to the Freedom Convoy's Give, Send, Go fundraising campaign earlier in February this year. Apparently, after a hacker unlawfully released the names of donors who donated to the Freedom Convoy's crowdfunding website, CBC journalists doxed Canadians by naming a number of police who made donations to the Give, Send, Go page. 6 Ottawa policemen in all were recognized, and it turned out Nielsen was one of them. You will recall that GoFundMe served as the platform for the Freedom Convoy's initial fundraising campaign, which was, of course, successful to the tune of many millions of dollars before being terminated at the request of the Government of Ontario. Following that, the organizers of the convoy launched a new fundraising initiative on the American crowdfunding website Give, Send, Go, which had resulted in the accumulation of additional millions of dollars. Apparently, the complaint that was presented to Nielsen a month ago, as stated in the Ottawa Police Service's Notice of Disciplinary Hearing, was that Nielsen was allegedly aware that the Freedom Convoy was engaged in an illegal occupation, and she still contributed to their Give, Send, Go campaign on February 5th. The Ottawa Police Service asserts that Christina Nielsen's donation to the Freedom Convoy's fundraising effort constitutes acting in a disorderly manner, and that Nielsen should have known, or should have had a reasonable basis for not knowing, that such a donation constitutes financial support of an illegal occupation. But what's really baffling is that before the Ottawa Police Service claims that Nielsen should have known on February 5 that contributing to the Freedom Convoy constituted aiding an illegal occupation came to light, Nielsen had made the donation before the law enforcement started closing down on the Ottawa demonstration. Apparently, it turns out that at the time Nielsen made the donation to the Freedom Convoy, the convoy was in its second week of rolling protests on Parliament Hill, and every day the organizers of the convoy worked with an Ontario provincial police liaison. And at the same time, Nielsen had made the donation to the convoy before an Ontario judge put a ban on funds from Give, Send, Go for the whole country, and even before the Trudeau government used the Emergency Act to stop the truckers. And you would recall that the Ottawa Police Service Interim Police Chief Steve Bell apparently made it clear earlier in March that there is no place in the force for officers who have donated to the Freedom Convoy, and that officers who did donate to the convoy were being investigated. In Bell's words, "We need to deal with the people who supported it because there's no room for them." Well, I guess this guy wasn't joking when he declared such bullshit, and it's just rather shocking. You would think this guy didn't mean to be that narcissistic until he really proved it. You can tell very well that Bell is the type of man that would most definitely have thrived under the Nazi regime. Christina Nielsen, like every other Canadian out there, has the constitutional right to walk and support her friends in the Freedom Convoy either morally or financially, regardless of the fact that she's a police officer. Meanwhile, you should note that the convoy hasn't even been found guilty in a court of law since the protests 7 months ago. Apparently, it's just really saddening that in Justin Trudeau's Canada, if you donate to a grassroots protest, you'll be in trouble. But if you run over retirees with a cavalry like the Ottawa Police Department did, you'll be encouraged. This travesty of justice is really horrible. Truly, Canadians now live in a communist country, feigning to be a democracy.
At least 24 officers have donated to the cause, but 3 were singled out and punished while others were kept secret. The names of donators came out when a hacker released the names of people who donated to a convoy, and several officers are on that list. Ottawa Officer Constable Christina Nielsen was used as an example, and her punishment was made public after donating twice. She had to plead guilty to discreditable conduct under the Police Service Act. To date, she is the only Ottawa police officer who has faced any formal prosecution for involvement in the convoy or its occupation. Nielsen donated $55 on GoFundMe, which was one of the several online fundraising platforms that organizers of the convoy used to raise money to start and continue the occupation. In a joint submission on penalty, both the defense and the prosecutors are asking for the officer to forfeit 40 hours of pay and to participate in the restorative justice component. That component, if carried out as intended, would see members of the Ottawa community meet with the officers and explain how her action by donating to the occupation affected them and the service they provide. We now jump to Windsor, Ontario, where two officers were disciplined for donating. Constable Michael Bristow of the Windsor Police Service is a highly trained and respected police officer with an exemplary record. He has been a police officer for 15 years and has no prior disciplinary record. In February 2022, Constable Bristow was forced to go on unpaid leave from his job as police officer to choosing not to be vaccinated for COVID. When Freedom Convoy protesters from across Canada rolled into the nation's capital to challenge vaccine mandates, Constable Briscoe decided to anonymously donate $50 to the cause. He sent his donation via GiveSendGo. When completing his donation, he did not identify himself as a police officer. He believed that he was exercising his freedom of expression by donating and that the Freedom Convoy was a legal protest. After all, he donated one day after the Superior Court judge found that the protest was peaceful, lawful, and safe and couldn't continue without honking. So he was on leave and technically a civilian at the time he donated. The donation was made to protest vaccine mandates, which personally affected me and my family. I empathize with the protesters in Ottawa, who also lost their jobs and their ability to support their family, Briscoe said in an email. After a 6-day hearing before an Ontario Provincial Police adjudicator, Constable Briscoe was found guilty of discreditable conduct on March 24, 2023. 2 months later, on May 18, 2023, the tribunal ordered that Constable Briscoe forfeit 80 hours of work as punishment. So for a $50 donation, he has to work 2 weeks for free. I will not try to guess his salary because it varies from place to place. But he's been a cop for a long time, so I guess his paycheck is pretty good. He tried to appeal, but a second group of tyrants upheld the decision. How dumb is that? Another Windsor officer is Brooke Fazekas. Not much information was released about this, except she was first charged with discreditable conduct by the Police Service Board, and then the charges were later dropped because of lack of evidence. By choosing to support an illegal blockade at our country's busiest border crossing, these members demonstrated a complete disregard for our city's economy and reputation, as well as the safety of their own colleagues who are dealing with the volatile situation, the Windsor Police Office released. So cops can't stand up for what they think is right. They can't be on the people's side for once. They have to always be with the tyrants cops who runs the show. What do you think of this? Let me know in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.